Hey guys, it's Elattar here, host and creator of the Passionate Few podcast, and today I'm going to be answering the question that so many of you guys ask me is, Omar, how do you ask such great questions during interviews and in life and business in general? Now, I know you guys who are asking this are asking because you want to know, and I'm sharing this not because I'm so awesome or I'm so great. I'm just a regular guy, and I don't say this to impress you, I say it to impress upon you what's possible when it comes to high-level communication skills and how it can open doors, opportunities, and even new levels of possibility and income for your life. And in my experience, it happened with podcasting. But anyways, in this video, I'm going to be showing you the top 5 things that I've learned on how you can ask great questions, whether it's for a podcast, whether it's for an interview of somebody you want to hire, or maybe you realize something from this that you apply when you're interviewed for a potential job. But basically, this is just a summation of the top 5 things I've learned when asking really great questions over the course of interaction with people at the highest levels, and from people from all walks of life, to be quite frank with you. And I've noticed certain patterns of behavior. So these 5 tips address those exact 5 patterns and things that I know will absolutely work for you because I've tested almost everything. They've absolutely worked for me and the show. So here you go. Here are my top 5 tips on how you can start asking great questions effective immediately. Okay? So number 1, okay? And I don't say this because I'm biased, but I would say watch or listen to good interviews. Okay? Watch or listen to good interviews. Now, when I say this, I don't mean you have to listen to a whole hour of it. What I mean is find somebody funny. Maybe you like Ellen, maybe you like Oprah, maybe you like a podcast, whatever it is. Even if you're listening to 1 or 2 minutes at a time, you don't have to listen to the whole 20 minutes or half hour or hour or whatever. If you just build the habit of your brain being familiar with good dialogue, wealthy communication skills, you're going to naturally pick it up. It's just going to seep into the brain. It's kind of like they say, you put your hand in a thing of glue, it'll come out a little sticky. So what you want to do is you want to put your brain into a glue of high quality communication skills. That way when you come out of it, a little bit will be absorbed into your subconscious. It'll start floating around. So give yourself some exposure to that because most people don't. You can't express something that you don't experience. So go experience good people asking good questions, and I promise you it'll sort of seep into your subconscious. So that's number 1. Watch or listen to good interviews, okay? Now, number 2 is going to be ask what you really want to know. Ask what you really want to know. Another way to say that is to ask about what you really care about. Here's what I mean. When I started doing the podcast, I didn't know if I was good at asking questions. I didn't know what I should ask. I used to write down all these lists of all these things I would ask these people. I knew it was a once-in-a-life opportunity, right? But what I realized is that if you care about what you're asking, the audience is probably going to care too. Here's what I mean. If you are asking somebody something from a place of conviction because you really, really want to know, then to be honest with you, even if other people or the audience, sees that and thinks, oh, that's weird, because of your sheer conviction, your sheer certainty and your curiosity about that thing, not only are you going to provoke the person to answer from a sincere place, but you're also going to get the audience to question their own thoughts that it was weird in the first place. Does that make sense? I know it kind of sounds a little bit weird, but the reality is that a lot of times, think about in class, for example, growing up, right? You might have wanted to raise your hand in math class or English class to ask a question, but thought, oh, I don't want to embarrass myself. I don't want to look stupid, right? I don't want people to judge me. I don't want to look like I'm asking a million questions. But then how many times have you wanted to ask something, didn't, and then saw someone else ask it with confidence and then went, oh, crap, I'm glad they asked that. Well, the reality is that right now you have to be that person. So I want to encourage you guys to actually start doing that. Ask what you're actually curious about, even if you feel like you think in weird ways, or maybe that's a weird question or that's a dumb question, right? Whatever it is, just build the muscle, right? Get into the habit of just asking questions from your natural place of curiosity, and I promise you the world will feel that, and the people you're asking them to will also want to respond to that place. Trust me. In the beginning, I tried to be logical and perfect and make sense. Now it's very intuitive. People say, Omar, how do you do such great interviews? The reality is that I actually care what I'm asking about. And when you care, other people can't help but feel the same way as well. Remember this, it's a transfer of energy. And so for you to transfer conviction and want to get them to transfer to you, you have to start from that place. So ask questions that you're curious about. So that's number 2, okay? Number 3 is going to be a very simple word that I'm sure a lot of women out there will especially love, and that is to listen, okay? Now, what I mean when I say listen is that a lot of times some of the most powerful things you could ever want to know are being told to you if only you could shut up all the chatter in your brain and just listen. A lot of times, for example, I'll give you context. When I'm doing an interview with people, I might have, a mental word bank, if you will, a question bank of all these things I want to ask. but they might be going on a tangent about something else. And to be honest with you, I'm probably more curious about the tangent they're going on than the stored up logical things I have in my head that I want to calculatedly ask. Does that make sense? So what you really want to do is listen, because when you listen, in a kind of weird way, communication is all about energy. And so if someone is giving their energy to something and you can sort of intercept that or feed off it or read into it, you're going to stay in that energy with them. You're going to stay in that flow with them. And I know it's especially true of women and men, right, in that dynamic. I've been the victim of not listening, but I promise you that, a lot of people even say in the interviews that they really enjoy the fact that I kind of shut up. I ask a question and I let the guest go where they want to go. So the reality is sometimes to ask good questions, all you got to do is listen, and it'll be very obvious as to what to ask next, what you should really care about, what is the next logical thing to be considered, evaluated, stimulated, provoked, or whatever in their intellect. So don't underestimate that. There's tremendous power in listening. So far, I said watch and listen to good interviews, even if in micro chunks, just to give yourself some exposure to it. And again, guys, I would highly recommend you guys to jot it down in your notes. So if you're watching this video, make sure to take notes on your phone, grab a paper and pen. As I always say, research shows that you're more likely to retain information by almost 80% if you actually write it down as you're retaining it. So remember that. If you're going to watch this video, make sure you actually do so in such a way that you can apply it, not just waste 10 minutes of your time consuming it, okay? So again, number 2, ask what you really care about. If you really care to ask, they're going to really care to answer. Trust me, that works. Number 3 is going to be listen. Number 4 is going to be practice. Practice. Now, here's what I mean. Chances are, growing up, you probably had a lot of questions, right? If you're the type of person that probably clicked on this video, watches interviews, is generally interested in how to ask good questions, the reality is you probably are already in the habit of asking a lot of questions. You just want a little bit of maybe refinement, encouragement, or maybe permission to get even better at it. So a lot of times when it comes to practice, what I mean simply is not just necessarily to ask yourself questions in the shower by yourself, although, to be honest with you, I kind of did that in the beginning. But what I mean by that is practice sharpening your communication skills with others, right? So say, for example, you're going out with friends today or tomorrow or whatever. Instead of asking, the generic surface level questions, start asking them more refined questions like, hey, do you like Thai food or Indian food more? Why do you like Thai food? What is it about that flavor? And it sounds a little bit weird to practice that way, but if you do, you'll learn how to sharpen and very concisely ask questions that's going to translate not just about Thai food and Indian food, which, by the way, I love both, but it's going to translate to other things. So maybe in business or maybe in your studies or in whatever, you'll know how to more accurately and more refinedly sharpen what it is you're asking about and understand not just what, but why things are the way they are. So that's a good form of practicing it. And you can literally practice with yourself as well. To be honest with you, I'll give you a really personal example. I'll go on a tangent here. I had a breakup a couple years ago, and I remember asking myself questions, and we'll get into this in the next one, but I remember asking myself questions like, oh man, like, why am I so hurt about this? And then I started pivoting the question. I say, well, what's good about this? Is there anything good about this? How is she feeling about this, right? Instead of just letting my reactions ask the questions, let your proactive mind ask the question, so you're not just living at the effect of things, right? Start figuring out how to manipulate, for lack of a better expression, learn how to manipulate the emotions you're experiencing, the thoughts you're thinking, and the questions you're asking, because you can literally practice with yourself and ask yourself how to use stuff to your benefit. So for example, in the shower, and I was worried about that breakup, which I'm sure you've had tough times and you've cried in the shower too, so you can kind of relate here maybe, is just start asking yourself, I started asking myself, what was good about the breakup? What's the opportunity about the breakup? Even though at the time I didn't think I had any good answers. I was trying to be probably delusionally positive and kind of ended up working. But just by pivoting those questions, you ask your brain a question, it'll give you an answer. And I'll give you an example. Say I was to ask you, a little bit inappropriate, but roll with me here. Say I was to ask you, what color are your underwear? Right? Now, even if you're not answering me, I guarantee you just went in your brain and answered that question in your head. And the reality is that when you ask your subconscious a question, it can't help but give you an answer. For example, I'll give you another one. So let's say I say cupcake. Your mind just did a Google search of all your mental references for cupcakes. Maybe cupcakes you like, cupcakes you've seen, cupcakes you've experienced in your reality. And the reality is the more you can sharpen it, watch when I say cupcake versus a carrot cake cupcake or a chocolate cupcake. See how by sharpening the way in which we sort of more precisely ask a question or create a mental stimulation, it sharpens the end result or the output of what we're asking. Well, it's the same premise when asking questions. So I know that was kind of a crazy example, but you can practice refining it in any ways you want, whether with yourself or others. So don't underestimate that power. And then we get to number 5. So for number 5, I'm going to say something that probably a lot of you guys might have an argument with, but personally for me, it's made the biggest difference of all. And that is to actually read. I know, it sounds scary, right? I remember early on, until a few years ago, the only book I'd actually finished was A Series of Unfortunate Events and Captain Underpants. So I get you if you're thinking like, oh man, I can't read, or I got to read literature to enhance my questions. Man, I was hoping I could watch this video and get some quick tips. Well, I promise you, reading has so much value, not only to your mind and your subconscious and your thoughts and your maturity, but also in terms of stimulating things you never would have thought of, learning about people's stories you never would have thought of, and also producing and stimulating new curiosity, right? So that you can ask questions you really care about. The reality is that reading, and I should maybe add this, reading equals curiosity, okay? Reading equals curiosity. And I promise you, you cannot ask great questions if you're not genuinely curious. And the only way to build your curiosity is to stimulate it. And the only way to stimulate it, aside from putting new content in there, is to actually read. Learn how words can be put together. Learn how they can be put concisely together. Learn good grammar. And not in a stressful like class learn, but just learn by reading, a sentence at a time, a word at a time, a page at a time. It doesn't have to be intimidating, but I promise you, if you expose yourself to good literature, even if it's short stuff, and when I say literature, don't think I mean Shakespeare. I just mean stuff you're interested in. Maybe you're interested in biographies. Maybe you're interested in romantic novels. Maybe you're just interested in magazines. Whatever it is, to be honest with you, I would just highly recommend that you go and read something. So as an action step, I want to encourage you today, if you're watching this video and you really want to be serious, take me up on this offer. Don't just watch this video. Don't just subscribe, although I would love if you could subscribe. Don't just do that, but actually take action and follow through. Go buy something. Go buy a book. Maybe you have one on the shelf in the room that you're watching this on. Maybe you have it in the car or wherever you're watching this on. But go out there and start reading. Start stimulating your curiosity, because I promise you that'll help the rest. If you start reading and build the habit of it, it'll build so much curiosity in you that you'll actually want to watch and listen to new stuff. You'll actually really get curious about things. You'll actually learn to appreciate listening. You'll get a better understanding of how you can practice it in the world. And of course, if you keep on doing it, you'll build the muscle more and more and more. And I promise you, other than this, that's it. And I'm telling you this from experience, doing this literally at the highest level of anxiety. Put yourself in my shoes. I'm a regular dude. I'm just as imperfect as you. I got 10 fingers and 2 eyes, but I somehow figured out how to ask strategic questions in a way to put me in places that I never even would have dreamed of, to ride on private jets with people that used to be mentors, people that built multi-billion-dollar companies. And I didn't just do this once. I did it over and over and over and over and over again. And again, not because I'm so great or I'm so brilliant. I'm just a guy. But I figured out these strategies, and I promise you they work. So bottom line is this. If you want to learn how to ask better questions, you've got to cultivate that sense of curiosity, refinement in your communication skills, practice, and also expose yourself to high-quality communication skills. After all, who you surround yourself with is who you become. And it's not just true in person, but also of your brain. So start putting good stuff in your brain, simulate that curiosity, have confidence to ask when no one else will, and I promise you, with just a little bit more practice and experience, you're going to be asking phenomenal questions in no time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That's a wrap for this. You can make sure to comment below. Let me know any other questions you guys have. Make sure to subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and check out all the new cool programs we have, including my brand new workshop. If you're watching this later in the year, probably the opportunity will be gone, but we have tons more coming out. But if you're watching this in June 2019, if you check out the link below, we have our exclusive 2-day workshop where I'm teaching you guys who, a lot of people have reached out about my $25,000, $15,000 coaching programs. So I want to let you know we put those aside for this month, and we have a 2-day workshop called the Passionate Few Podcast Workshop. You can find out all the details in the description below, but it's basically just under $1,000 for tickets to the 2-day event, as well as a $2,000 ticket for the VIPs, and it's loaded with cool stuff. We're going to be going in a limo. We're going to be helping out with a nonprofit. We're going to be going to phenomenal dinner. You get to hang out with me. A bunch of other multimillionaire CEOs are going to be there during the weekend, so it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. And it's for those of you who want to start a show, want to start a podcast, want to create impact in the world, want to learn how to book big guests, ask great questions. We're going to have a photographer on site doing your headshots, a graphic designer creating your layouts, literally all inclusive. Because if you're like me, you hate the bullshit, right? You hate the fluff, and you want to get straight to the point. So I want to encourage you guys to check it out. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it helps you ask phenomenal questions in your life and your business. Remember this, a high-quality life comes from high-quality answers, and high-quality answers only come from high-quality questions. So go out there and try to practice these tips. I promise you they'll work for you.
If you guys enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that subscribe button right now because every week we bring you the very best in personal development content, interviews, and insight to help inspire you to take your life and your dreams and make them a reality. And also, if you want to know how to book dream guests the same way I have, you can check the link below for my top 3 secrets. So if you have a podcast or a show or whatever it is and you want to collaborate with them, if you click that link below, I'll give you those top 3 secrets to help you get in touch with anybody. And also, don't forget that The Passionate Few is available on media platforms as well. So you can subscribe to the podcast. And until next time, thank you for being one of the passionate few.